So what happens if you destroy the economy and you destroy the housing market and you get call after call wrong and wrong when it comes to the economy and you're called a hero? Isn't that kind of crazy? Let's talk about that in this video. So I think many of you by now have seen this cover of the Atlantic magazine where Ben Bernanke is being called a hero. Yes, you'll see behind me here the image of Bernanke smiling as he is the man, right? Saved us from the brink. He is a hero. Question is, Ben Bernanke saved the global economy, so why does everybody hate him? I think, it's funny that they would say everybody hates him because most people, I think, are kind of asleep to this. But, why do they hate him? I wouldn't say I hate him, but I really don't like him because he's destroying the dollar. And but they're trying to pose as he's the savior. There's the photo. When I saw this, I'll tell you what, I was flying back home from California, going through LAX airport, and already LAX airport, it makes you want to, kind of an evil place in a way where you just get so much of, there's a lot of good things, but there's a lot of people that are just, I see this family, there's this kid, he's probably, 8. Yeah, has a picture of the sickle and hammer from the Soviet Union. A Soviet Union flag on his shirt. He's like Hispanic. And I'm thinking, does he know that that system killed over 70 million people on record? 57 million of their own people? Does the family know that? They let him wear the shirt? I don't know. Maybe I'm just asking. Maybe I'm just, digging into that pesky thing we call history and finding out the facts. I don't know. But so I'm walking through. I have to go through the TSA checkpoints, and I'm not kidding you. There's an 80-year-old lady that is she's in a wheelchair with her son. The TSA agents are literally picking her up and dragging her through the x-ray machine. She could barely stand up. And I just, continue to move forward. I was just so irked. And I'm walking through, and what do I see on the magazine stand? Something that just absolutely makes me vomit completely, almost, is Ben Bernanke the hero. I'll tell you what, the propaganda is on full steam ahead. Bernanke is doing exactly what I have been talking about, where we were going to hear the massive propaganda prior to the election of the economy is getting better. Think about it. The guy who created the housing bubble, or was part of the group that created the housing bubble, have taken the dollar and have devalued it by 95% since the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. They are completely devaluating the currency, destroying the US dollar. Prices are going up everywhere. $5 gas because of the hero, Ben Bernanke. And The Atlantic says, Roger Lowenstein, the writer, says, the visceral criticism of Bernanke is hard to fathom. Really? Is it hard to fathom? The guy who has, in essence, between 2005 and 2007, made every single statement you could about the housing market and got it wrong time after time after time after time. That's the guy who we're looking to for monetary policy and to get us out of this economic depression that we're currently in. I'll tell you what, it's almost like the Time magazine article that came out in June 13th, the cover of 2005, June 13th. It's talking about how home sweet home and how fantastic the housing market was and that prices would never fall and, it was just infinite wealth for the rest of America, right? It would never be like it used to be. It would always be prices of housing would continue to always go up. Given the absolute enormous global imbalances that are still taking place with the derivatives of over $1.4 quadrillion, the too big to fails that continue to get too big, but will probably fail really soon. It's just unbelievable to see this corporate-owned media come out with the hero. Now, you could buy into this, and you could say, yes, Bernanke's the hero, la-di-da, and I'm going to go invest in the stocks because, according to the Wall Street Journal, stocks resume their strongest ride. Stock market is at close yesterday at 13,264. solid reading of the domestic manufacturing data. Now listen, I want all this stuff to be true, right? I don't want to go into a manufacturing depression by the globalist banking cartels that have hijacked the republic. I don't want that to happen. I hope that I'm wrong about what I'm talking about. But again, being a student of history and knowing what happens when you create $15 trillion plus in money, or even more, and you have a quadrillion plus in phony derivatives and a huge shadow banking system that literally has taken all the bad debt and they just put it offshore into these shadow banks that you never see, and then that's why the banks can report, healthy earnings and they can pass the stress test that they come up, like JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon, they invent the stress test, and they invent it because they don't want the rest of their competition to be able to pass that test. They're able to cook their books. The competition, like the local banks, aren't. Local banks get shut down. At the end of all of this, you're going to have like 4 banks that run the whole entire world. That is where we are headed. So that's important to see this propaganda for what it is and destroy the propaganda with precision and truth. Here's what I found this comment was interesting. This is Barry James. You have to single him out. I don't know who Barry James is. He's with the James Investment Research. Here's what he said, quote, "After a massive run, what's better than putting a cherry on top? When you've got the market running higher, it likes to keep going higher until something really takes place." Yeah, something's really going to take place, that's for sure. From an economic standpoint, there are enough positive markers for people to say that that's okay right now. So according to James, Barry James, it's okay, we know something kind of event's going to happen, but it's okay to just keep, putting your money, your hard-earned money into the casino that's called Wall Street or, the stock market. The reason it's rallying, and the reason it was rallying in Europe, the stock Europe 600 index gained 1.5 just yesterday, is because Bernanke is funneling trillions of US dollars into the system, propping up the stock market, probably buying into futures markets as well. In fact, I could almost bet he's doing that, just like he's buying into the housing market and everything else. It is all phony, fabricated, fraudulent wealth. Now, you could believe the hero on The Atlantic magazine, or you could believe somebody who's called it right time after time, like Mark Faber, who was quoted on CNBC as saying, "Massive wealth destruction is about to hit investors." Quoting, "Well-to-do category could lose about half of their total wealth in the next few years as the consequences pile up from a global government. To put it just like Mark Faber would say, somewhere down the line we will have a massive wealth destruction that usually happens either through very high inflation or through social unrest or through credit war or a market collapse." That's how Mark Faber would put it. Now that's my bad impersonation of Mark Faber, but where do you see this headed now? Why don't you let your thoughts be heard. Post a comment. If you like the video, please share it. I'm your internet anchorman, Fabian for Liberty. I'm out.